Geniuses from the laboratories, armed with the latest chemical weapons, released a miraculous substance into the sky, which, according to their plan, was supposed to return the planet to the golden mean of the temperature regime. But nature, as it turned out, didn't need a thermostat. Nature reacted radically. The temperature on Earth fell to a critical point. All living things froze to death in a matter of days. Only a few survived, the lucky ones who managed to jump into the last chance for salvation, an armored train rushing along the ring road through the snowy wastelands. For 17 years it has been rushing along the tracks, the only home for the survivors, divided into castes, the chosen ones in the head cars, the scum in the tail. The military bursts into the beggar's wagon, rattling their boots and ordering everyone to sit down with a sullen expression on their faces. Curtis, our hero, has no intention of sitting still. He is plotting an uprising, but the time has not yet come. He casts a glance at his buddy Edgar and whispers, "When we get to the Ridge, everything will change." As the passengers gulp air in tense silence, soldiers hand out food, protein briquettes. Later, Curtis wanders around the train car looking for the briquettes, not because he's hungry, but because a note from a mysterious ally is hidden inside. In it is the name of a prisoner, a specialist in security systems. He must be freed because he is the key to the locomotive, to the heart of the train, to its creator, Tycoon Wilford. In the evening, the military return to take the children of the beggars. After all, they need their labor force. She appears, measuring the height and arm span of the little passengers with cold determination. One of the mothers is gripped by fear. She tries to hide her son, but the cruelty of the soldiers knows no pity. 2 children are taken away. The father of one of the children tries to resist, but he is grabbed by the soldiers. He throws his boots at the woman with rage. As punishment, the man is led to a special pit and his arm is put outside, out into the cold. While the limb turns into an icy statue, Minister Mason makes a pathetic speech about sacred hierarchy, about unwavering order, about how everyone must stay in their place. When time runs out, the frozen hand is dragged back in and beaten with a hammer, despite his pleas to stop. One of Curtis's accomplices declares that this is a good time to riot. She notices that the soldiers have no ammunition. During the last riot, they shot all the ammunition. Curtis decides to test his words, but he has to take a chance. He steps forward, snatches the rifle from the guard, puts it to his temple and pulls the trigger. Everything freezes with surprise. But to the joy of the revolutionaries, no shot is fired. The first to scream are those who have crammed themselves into the back of the train. The screams echo throughout the carriage as a signal to attack. The rioters unleash a living barrage on the guards. The fight escalates into outright mayhem as the guards retreat like sand through their fingers. While the guards try to regroup, the rebels drag a heavy battering ram into the carriage, blocking the steel partitions. Revenge for years of humiliation is not long in coming. The soldiers of the first class get top billing. In the way of the rebels stands a hulking, muscular cabinet-like creature. However, Aki, a nimble rebel, jumps on his back like an acrobat in a circus arena and plunges a knife into his heart. He falls, leaving behind a very valuable trophy, a bunch of keys. Thanks to this, they find a security specialist, the man who designed the entire system of locks and doors of the train. The rebels are not ceremonious, either you are with us or in the snow. To convince them, they offer an incentive, homemade drugs. After such an offer, he agrees. From a neighboring cell he pulls out his daughter, who has the gift of foresight. Looking at the closed door of the neighboring carriage, she nonchalantly informs him that behind it is empty. And it turns out she's right. As the rioters look around, an icy metropolis floats by outside the windows. Those who have seen nothing but gray walls for years are mesmerized by the ruins of a past world. In the next carriage they learn what their food is made of and are horrified. On the next train, they are greeted by the fighters of the rich. Huge, trained, they hold cold weapons, which is not the case with the rebels. One of them is cutting up a fish for demonstration. The blade glides through the flesh like butter. There's no retreat. The confined space becomes a bloody mess. Metal digs into flesh, bones crunch, blood floods the floor. Curtis, having taken the axe from his enemy, gets a taste for it. Fighting when you have a weapon is different. But the battle is suddenly interrupted by a voice in a megaphone announcing that the train is passing the Catherine Bridge. After the soldiers wish each other a happy new year, the real show begins. The blocks of ice frozen on the rails make the whole train shake, the cars sway, people lose their balance. As the rebels come to their senses, Minister Mason enters the arena. She smiles a nasty smile and begins her speech. Curtis does not want to listen to her and throws an axe at her, but one of the guards repels it with a hammer. The guards, realizing that the rebels will fight to the death, decide to resort to stealth. They put on night vision devices. And in the darkness, he who can see wins. The lights go out, there's a bang, then another. Unable to see anything in the dark, the rioters begin to retreat back. But hope flares up when the boy with the stolen matches lights the first torch. The fire is passed from one to another. Suddenly the whole space erupts and the rebels have light, and therefore a chance. With fire in their hands, with fury in their eyes, with loud battle cries, the proletariat rushes forward, destroying the guards and the leadership. Curtis grabs the minister and forces her to tell the guards to surrender. Having won this section of the train, the rebels are bathed in water for the first time in a long time. They need to move on, and after handing over the wounded and prisoners to the old man, he and a small detachment and Mason continue on their way. They are followed by a wagon garden. Here they grow vegetables for the rich of the first class. Next is the seafood tank. Sushi is prepared in this compartment, but only twice a year so as not to upset the delicate balance of the ecosystem. They are lucky and he gets to taste normal food for the first time in his life. Mason gets a protein bar made from cockroaches. In the next train car, they see the children of the elite studying. A woman tells them a propaganda video about Wilford, the great savior of mankind. To keep the children from thinking about trying to leave the train, they are shown the I-7. These are the ones who first tried to leave the train. Their frozen bodies are still lying in the snow. Then a peddler enters the classroom with hard-boiled eggs. Curtis opens his and finds a note inside. It has the word blood written on it. At this point, the teacher, taking advantage of their distraction, pulls out a gun and opens fire. Bullets fly at the rioters, the children's faces contorted with the anticipation of killing. Chaos ensues, and the teacher dies from a stab wound. But it's too late. Almost everyone left behind is dead. Gilliam is killed on camera. In a fit of rage, Curtis grabs Mason and, without saying a word, puts a bullet in her. The following train cars are a stunning contrast. Luxurious interiors, marble columns, gilded panels, expensive drinks and elaborate outfits. While the carriages at the tail were starving, balls were held here. The last track leads through the bar car. This is a place of idleness and debauchery. Drunken elite bums, stone majors. The technician stealthily seizes the moment to fill their pockets with drugs. He'll need them to blow the door to the locomotive. Curtis recalls his childhood when he was forced to eat children to survive. His voice shakes, and now he asks the technician to open the door. He wants to end this hell once and for all. But he refuses. He wants to use explosives to get out. He is sure that the temperature on Earth has risen since the catastrophe, which means that life outside the train can still exist. He has attached the explosives to the outer door and has already struck a match. But then the door to the first carriage opened. A woman stepped out of the shadows and shot toward the technician. And Curtis heard the invitation, polite, almost courteous, as if he were not a rebel but an honored guest. Wilford greeted him as if he had been waiting a long time. The first man to make it all the way to the heart of the train. It turns out that all along he had been organizing this whole revolution himself, along with Gilliam, to keep the number of people on the train under control. But the game didn't go according to plan. The men with torches in the tunnel have upset the balance. Now order must be restored quickly and violently. The tycoon put the phone to Curtis's ear. He heard the tail carriage gasping in agony. The guards were methodically turning the extra passengers into memories. Meanwhile, Wilford led Curtis over to the engine. He showed him the note in the capsule. It was proof that he had been an informant for the rebellion from the beginning. But Wilford wasn't just playing puppeteer. He was looking for an heir. Too old to rule, he wanted to hand over the reins to someone who had proven his strength. Meanwhile, the techie's daughter opened the door. The woman in yellow moved to check the source of the noise, and was immediately hit on the head. The girl took the explosives. Wilford continued to coax Curtis, arguing that the people needed a leader, without whom they would descend into chaos. But before he could respond, there was a metallic clang. The girl staggered across the floor, accidentally hitting a tile. And beneath her lay a child. Small, skinny, covered in oil and soot. Turns out he was servicing the engine. This drove Curtis into a final rage, and he struck him with his fist. Wilford collapsed, sliding helplessly down the wall. Then he pulled the child out and handed the match to the girl. The girl did not delay. Thunder rumbled in the mountains. The wagon was torn apart. When the snow dust settled, there were two survivors. The girl who set off the explosion and the boy. They crawled out from under the wreckage and stepped onto the untouched snow. Snow-capped mountains towered around them. But in the distance, on a slope, a shadow moved. It was a polar bear, signaling that the world was alive. But could they survive? This is where the movie ends. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and give the channel a like. See you soon.